Hey everybody, it's an Eromanga sensei. It's another one. Another of these. Another episode. We're
Yeah,
still
that's right.
watching it. I don't
Still
think
at
I'm
it.
going to have as much to say about this one. Um, I couldn't find my marker to take notes, so
Oh
I just
no.
kind of do you happen to have by the minute notes for this one?
I don't. I take some fairly detailed notes as I go on everything that's worth mentioning. So yeah, I've got some stuff to say.
All right. Well, why don't you actually, you know what? I'll
Hmm.
start off. I'll start off by telling you what I did this episode, Nate.
Hey.
I figured
Okay. Okay.
I figured, people watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
So why?
They
Why are
do.
they
Yeah.
watching it? Assumably for cute girls.
Right. Right.
Like assumably for the fan service, the cute girls, the sensation of their cuteness. So I decided I would run a test to see how the show would be if I watched it the proper way. So I watched this entire episode with my dick out to see if it would move
Uh-huh. How'd it
in
go?
all the various fan service scenes. I'll
There was
say
quite a bit. There was quite a bit this episode, as there is
well,
every
we
episode.
had the one that we'll definitely be getting to.
Of course, of course.
With Megumin.
Mm-hmm.
My dick was largely indifferent to
Yeah.
that scene. Just didn't have much to go on.
Mm-hmm.
There was one moment that got my dick to move though. It's when Sagiri says to her brother, like, well, if you're financially hurting, then I'll help out. Like
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
help to pay for you by drawing erotic manga or whatever. And I was like, that's what I'm into is girls taking care of me. So I got a little movement there, but
That was that was nice. It was cool. I like. I mean, it'd be cool if she contributed to her own survival in some way instead of being a pure parasite. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, she's a kid, so like I don't really blame her because all children are parasites her age. But good for her. I respect that.
yeah. Come to think of it, like, is she even like allowed to make deals to do this kind of work at age 12? Like,
You mean like sign contracts and shit?
yeah, like,
Maybe she hasn't worked with like a contractual basis. It's been purely, under the table kind of work. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. I like
Has she
do we know
drawn-
if she's worked with anyone besides this dude? I don't know.
we know that she, she's called Eromanga Sensei. Her art is described as erotic, but has
seems
she drawn
famous.
any actual? Sorry, I keep getting texts. Has she drawn any actual porn?
We have never
And if
seen any
so,
porn. We have never
is
seen any
that
porn.
legal?
That's a good question that I do not know the answer to. And plus, Japan has different rules about that. So I really don't know. I really just don't know.
It's a worthwhile question.
Somebody comment on that. Some people must know about that. Okay, well, let me say, Digi. This my journey with the episode began with trying to download the episode, and I really spent a good few minutes just reflecting on like, I don't want to do this. This was the first time. This was up to this point I've been excited to go in and shit on this. Today was
Yeah.
the day I really felt like, why am I fucking doing this? I hate watching this show. It is such a waste of my time. But I powered through, and I saw some things. I saw some things. So this
Do you
one's
think-
for you, everybody out there.
Do you think there's a chance this is the last episode of Eromanga Sensei every week, or are you gonna force yourself no matter what?
Well, as strange as it is, like things have changed a little bit at the end of the episode. So like there's something to look forward to in a sense.
This
So,
was not nearly as bad as the previous episode.
for sure.
Because
for sure.
episode 5 was just fan service. There was
Yeah.
like nothing to it, no real narrative, nothing to grab onto other than pure bullshit.
Yeah, that's right.
This episode, surprisingly, it seems as though we've come to a point in the story where we've exhausted the premise.
Right,
Like,
right.
the authors realized we can't go much farther with just this guy trying to get his little sister to leave her room.
Uh-huh.
So now they established a plot. They put a plot in the show.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. A very silly one, but it is a real one, so I'll give them credit. Is this it, Digi? Is this you and I finally turning around and this becoming the 10 out of 10? It was always destined to be in our hearts. I think this is the beginning of that journey. We'll see. We'll see where we end up.
Yeah.
So okay. So the episode starts. They're in the bookshop again. Where the last episode
Yeah.
left off, and we've
Right.
got Megumin being all like, I guess I'll read your gross, pervy light novels.
Yeah.
And so, like, it starts off with the scene of the other girl, like the bookshop girl, like getting all defensive about light novels and having this hilarious scene where she wants to beat the shit out of this girl, but inexplicably beats the shit out of the guy because he's in the way. That's reasonable. That's just
I gotta say, I don't like that the show had this cute girl get defensive about light novels.
I was gonna say that felt so bizarre to see someone get that dedicated. She defines herself as like, I'm like the light novel goddess or light novel salesperson.
Well, it's just, I mean, how much of a blowing smoke up your own ass is it to have one of the cutest girls in the story be like totally, celebratory of the medium?
Yeah.
Like,
it was mistress of the light novel section. That's what it was.
I've enjoyed the idea that this show was cracking on light novels, which it kind of has a little bit. I mean, it suggested that you can write them in a day.
I think we might have to take those back because I don't think it was actually that self-aware about that. I don't think it understood what it was saying. Yeah, based on this episode.
Now that it's suddenly playing defense for it, and the whole amount of time thing, I think this show just has a weird perspective on time because in this episode, Bookstore Girl gives Megumin like 12 light novels and is like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Counting on her to read all of them tonight,
and
which she does.
And she did.
I was like, I might not be the fastest reader, but it takes me about 4 hours to read a light novel, on average, so there's not even enough time in the day. But hey, this is a show where people write light novels in a day, and so
it amused me later on when like our main character called. He was talking about like the other light novel writer that we meet later in the episode, and he's like, "Oh, she's like famous for being really fast, motherfucker. You wrote like a book in a day, like one day, like." How fast is this woman?
Can you get faster than what we have already seen? How is that
they're
possible?
pushing the limits. They're pushing the limits. So yeah, this opening section here. So the two girls have their exchange. Then she leaves and she calls the guy later, and it's just like she basically just like I've fallen in love with light novels. And she's like, I won't call them degenerate, scum.
Which is the most unrealistic thing that's happened in the show. Someone reading a light novel and deciding light novels are great.
Not to mention, so, like, this girl had been, like, shitting on light novels all the time. All it takes is to read a bunch one time, and now she has completely changed her position, just proving that she didn't know anything about what she was talking about before. If reading them, I don't know. She's just a dumb bitch, but of course
she's supposed to be a normie.
Yeah,
and it's the characterization of everyone in this show is just such a clusterfuck. Because with Megumin, you've got this thing where she's supposed to be a normie, but she's also supposed to be like a hardcore slut or something. Like that's the persona she's putting on. But then she also seems to have this like interest in weirdo outsiders and their stuff. So I'm like, what is she exactly? Like,
well, no,
doesn't. The way she acts doesn't come off as a normie to me. Like, she comes off as a weirdo.
Well, what in the show, she's this bizarre creature that is like her character is that she must be friends with everyone in her class, and that motivation drives every action she has taken in the entire show. And I don't understand that bizarre fixation. That's what's pushing her to get into light novels in the first place. She wants to like be friends with the girl because she's gonna read.
But like, weird. I just don't see the way that her attitude is, where she's like super, like she's a super normie and she's talking like otaku stuff is gross, even though like in episode 1 or 2 she was saying that she was an otaku. She was like misunderstood. She was like, oh, I read One Piece, and the guy was like, that's not real anime shit. But like she was claiming that she was into this stuff, and now she's saying it's gross weirdo stuff. Like, who is this girl? How does she see herself, and how does she perceive otaku?
Maybe she just knows, or maybe she's saying that light novels are like worse than the manga or an anime that she consumes on like. Well,
the specific phrase she's using is kimo ota, which means like gross otaku. Like, I'll read your gross otaku books, And
yet she claims to be an otaku. Yeah, that's weird. That's a strange combination.
Like, I had always my impression of her, which. In this episode, the main character, well, the translators didn't put it this way, but in the manga they did, and the manga translation is better, which is that he calls her a fake bitch.
Yeah.
And I think I like that idea of the character makes sense to me. This idea that like she's constantly trying to act like she's all these other things to be friends with people, you know,
Right.
oh, I'm totally an otaku too. Oh, I'm totally into that as well, you know. And like, yeah, she's trying to get into light novels just so she can connect with somebody about it. But the idea that that kind of person would then also be insulting towards them is really weird.
It just shows how vapid she is about this issue, I guess, if anything. If we are going to take it seriously and be like, okay, these are facets of her character and not just terrible writing, then it just means that she is inconsistent.
And I mean, that's every character in the show. The one we'll get to the most is Elf. Like, her characterization is just so all over the place that I don't know how to feel about her at all, you know?
Yeah, they did a lot with Elf this episode. It was a short scene, but it was very, I don't know, it was a bunch of bullshit.
Do you want to get into it? You want to jump around? Cause
yeah, why not? Who gives a fuck? Let's just jump to it.
This Elf scene, man, because you called it really early. You said that she was going to be the Kuroneko of this show.
Yeah.
And over time, that's very clearly become the case. A was saying it as well after a couple episodes, you know, and everybody was kind of celebrating her as like best girl, like Kuroneko was.
Piece of shit. Yeah. Kuroneko's fine. Yeah.
And like they're obviously that's what they're going for, right? Like she's the slightly older, more mature one who the main character can have like real conversations with. Even though she's
it's ironic
also got
to call her
quirky...
mature, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, well, compared to Sagiri, like she's worldly a little bit, you know. But that's the thing. That's where the show fucks up. Is that it tries to simultaneously make her like worldly and
a
like,
brat and a fucking brat at the same time.
Yeah, and a total brat, and they don't seem to go together at all. Like the specific when they're having the scene in the cafe. And she's like all poised and being like, oh yeah, you know, light novel authorship is a contest, and it's like you're playing the most interesting game in the world, and you don't even want to see the score. Like she's phrasing it all cool and shit. But then they get into the building, and she's just like acting like a total bitch to this other girl. She's like, I sold 2 million copies, so everyone's got to listen to everything I say. And I'm just like, this doesn't feel like the same person who was in the cafe, like, presenting yourself as like having an interesting, intimate conversation as opposed to this just like being a fucking little bitch, you know?
I guess these are different facets of her personality, but they feel very, I mean, they're very, as a character, she is uncomfortable and strange to observe because she acts so erratically.
Because in a scene like in the cafe, I'm starting to warm up to her and be like, oh, she actually seems like she'd be fun to talk to, or like, I can see why he'd want to be friends with her in that scene. You know, like, I have we both write, we're writing buddies, you know a little bit more about writing than I do, you know, so it's like I get to, you know, glean some insight. But then you skip to the next scene and she's just this fucking over-the-top cartoon character who's totally insufferable, who I want nothing to do with.
She was a dumb bitch,
Which, thank God, because I know she's going to lose anyways.
She's definitely going to lose, It's good to not get our hopes up. Thank God for that.
It's so weird the way this guy sets up his stories, that it's like, let's have this little sister who's like totally dependent and an utter bitch and just walks all over the main character, and then we'll introduce a really like cooler, more level-headed older character who's clearly right for the guy, and then have her lose to the fucking bratty little sister. That's what we all want.
This guy
That's
must
the
be into
narrative
that
trajectory
shit.
he's into.
He's got to be into it. That's just his thing, I guess, and he writes into his stories for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe he really does have a little sister fetish, and he enjoys watching. Maybe he really has like a shitty little sister fetish, you know, where, you know what I mean. That scene was also weird because I kind of felt like they were, I don't know. I felt like they were filleting the fans a little bit with the way that you know, that they're talking, and our main character dude is like, hey, you're like tsundere for your fans, aren't you? Like you're gonna be all like, oh, I totally hate my fans, and I just use them for views, and I manipulate them, but really you like them. And she's like, no, baka. Okay, so she's being a tsun. I felt like, I don't know, like I felt like that was all, I mean, of course it was, but it was for our sakes as opposed to any real character development. And it's just for us to like look at it soon and feel like she's talking about us as the viewers, because there are no actual readers of her book. They don't exist in the universe. Right. But we exist, and we're going to be like, oh, she likes us because we like what she does. I don't know, man. That was just uncomfortable. Can you tell that I'm like dying, that I'm dead inside?
Yeah.
That I've lost my spark for the show? It's gone. It's gone.
I mean, I went into this episode like I knew I knew the whole panty scene was coming. Maybe that would have been more of a shock had I not known. Because like, there's people on Twitter messaging me like, "Oh, you guys are gonna really hate the scene in this episode. It's really," and I'm like, "Well, I already knew it was coming."
Didn't they listen to our last episode where you talked about how we expected that? Yeah.
Well, someone said it was worse than what I had described, but it was. I mean, it's exactly the same. The funny thing about it is that, you know, I read this scene in the manga because people were posting the pages on A, and the manga has such a better art style that I actually kind of enjoyed the scene in the manga. Yeah. Because it's really cutesy and dynamic, and there's even a scene that's cut out of the anime where the main character guy is thinking like, wait a minute, this isn't the Megumi I know. The Megumi I know loves dick and is surrounded by guys at all times, and it shows a picture of her with like all these dick-shaped sausages around her. Like it's much more graphic than what happens in the anime.
So is that
was just missing?
True at all? Have we, like, in the manga? I'm wondering, has she been like shown to enjoy hanging around men or something? Is that at all?
I don't know.
Okay, because we haven't seen any of that shit. All she's done is like said lewd words on occasion.
I'm linking you the image from the manga because somebody tweeted it at me. You can see there's like, this is much more intense. She also has much bigger tits in the manga.
She does, doesn't she?
He says the Megumi I know has a ton of male friends and is a dick-loving, rotten bitch. And then he calls her out on the next page for being fake.
But that's not the Megumi he knows, because we have never seen her with any male friends outside of that one group shot with like her entire class. So I don't know why he's saying these words. Maybe it's in the I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't give a shit. Let's talk about. Let me see. Okay, so there's this one shot where this is like a directing issue I had. There's one shot earlier on in the show where he's talking with Sagiri in a room. No. Okay, it's when he's on the phone with Megumin, and she does. There's just this one little thing where she is lying on her back and she is getting accused of like, I don't know, not being in a light novel or something. And she goes so nah, and she like sits up, and as she does that, like it's a shot like of her crotch, and she sits up and she covers it with her hand as she's like leaning up. The shot was fine, like it was a retarded fan service shot. What bothered me about it?
Covering it for?
Yeah, like why is she covering it? And that scene at the end was delayed for like at least 1 second too long before the cut, and it was just like dwelling on that shot. So it went from like just being a fan service to, I mean, maybe it's just me. If people like weren't paying attention, that isn't it great when a show gets better the less attention you pay to it? Like it just broke the flow. It was shit.
Did you notice the shot where Elf and the main character are walking to the cafe, and it just shows a static image of her walking, like her mouth, like you can hear her talking, but it's just a static shot of her, you know, like
I did not notice that particular one.
There's one shot, like, I mean, it's like a transitional shot. Like, you can imagine how this would work, like you could say it was meant to be stylized, like that it was supposed to be a stylistic shot, but it's not stylized enough for that to be apparent. It just feels really cheap. It's just like it's probably a good 5 to 10 seconds of one static image of Elf.
I'll have to go back and check that. Hey, did you notice that it's felt like in this episode there were moments where they actually tried a little bit harder on the animation? Like when at the date scene between Elf and MC, there was like moments when he was like, I don't know, he was doing something. It felt like there were extra frames being added, or like more, animation in the sense of like energy was put into like the motions he was making. I felt like they were trying a little harder at times.
You know, it could be because there was less Sagiri in this episode. Like, because Sagiri's always more animated than everybody else.
Right.
And as I've learned from the Canepa Effect, who made this video for Crunchyroll where he was like explaining the background elements of the show, that there's an animator for this show who literally was assigned as the Sagiri animator, and he just does like all of her good animation cuts.
I know he did that one in this episode where she like leans back and her butt takes up the entire frame for a good 2 seconds. I noticed that. I went back.
Yeah, that and then her like adjusting her clothes as she sits up to tell him that he's
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
So those shots were obviously that guy, but there's not a whole lot of Sagiri in this episode. So I felt like other characters got a chance to be animated briefly, maybe just because there was less of her. I don't know.
There was
That's
some
the
good
only
animation
logic I could come up with.
Yeah. I mean, like during the date, I thought things looked better, and at the end, like the new character we meet, it wasn't much, but there were moments when she moved, and I thought her movements looked pretty good. Like it was funny because it would be like completely static while someone off screen is talking, and then she moves to like look, and I was like, oh, well, okay, good turn animation, not bad. What else?
It's a very that's like one of my big criticisms of A1 Pictures shows that they tend to do is that because they hire on like such random people, you know, they'll often have just like a whole episode that looks like shit, and then one moment that's like incredibly well animated, and that's the part that people latch on to.
Yeah, that's all people give a shit about. They forget all the time that's been wasted on the other shit. Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you all the time. Okay, well, let's just get to it. Let's get to the biggest thing in the episode. So at the bookshop, or I don't know when this happens, but like the girl decides to come over to get some light novels from Sagiri. They're gonna get a friendship going between these two. She's really dedicated. So she shows up, and the dude gets Sagiri to let her in to like the agreement they come to is that she'll let her borrow books and become friends if she's allowed to draw
Listening to you
her.
try to find the energy to talk about this is really cracking me up.
I'm glad.
You sound like you're resisting having to talk about this.
I've reached that point for sure with this show now. It's the halfway point though, so it's downhill from here, thank God. So they come to this agreement. She's gonna let Sagiri draw her. And apparently she's been a model once before. She's like, okay, no problem. I'm used to being a camera slut. Let's get into it. No offense to models out there. I have no problem with you. Anyway, so she has to bind her hands together and wear a blindfold, okay? And, I should be exaggerating more when I'm talking about this. I should be more animatedly describing how, fucked up this is. I just don't have it in me. So, but be advised, this is fucked up. This is
the long and short of it is that she gets tied up and they push her into the room and she's clearly uncomfortable as Sagiri draws her. Right. And she's just like, this isn't what I signed up for. This feels weird. I feel like there's a hidden camera, like I'm in a punishment game or something, you know?
Yeah.
And they just don't care.
They just don't do anything. And she even has the power to do things and chooses not to do anything. I don't know what's going through her head.
And I guess main character guy just had been under the impression she would be into it. Yeah. And then
because she's a bitch, because she's a slut.
Yeah. But his reaction isn't, oh shit, I'm realizing that she's not okay with it. It's, hey, you're actually a fake bitch.
Yeah, he gets accusatory on her. Yeah. Which is actually
what?
Pretty hilarious.
You're not into this, you fake bitch.
I like that. I respect that. Strong red pill stance, my friend. Keep it up. Yeah, why the fuck didn't this bitch say anything and leave or stop?
By the way, I don't know if this was just me, if I was not paying enough attention, but it looked like Sagiri dragged her into the room and he was outside. And I don't know if they just didn't close the door, but then he was inside all of a sudden.
You know, I thought that was strange too. I thought he was outside as well, and then he was just there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which was particularly what I can't believe is that, I mean, I guess she was just so possessed with her drawing that she didn't even think about it. Yeah. But the brother is in the room, and Sagiri just takes this girl's panties off. With her brother right there.
This is... Oh, okay, so he's clearly
He didn't walk in on this, you know?
Yeah, he was there the whole time.
In fact, I even think... No, never mind. I guess he didn't... I guess he had to be there to make the fake bitch comment, which is why he couldn't have just walked in on it. But
he must have been there from the start, I guess.
So he just standing... Yeah, she just fucking took her panties off without asking.
Okay,
And,
that's the one moment where I do feel a small spark of rage in my empty soul coming back, because this is actual sexual assault. Like I said last
Yeah.
episode, you are not allowed to just reach up a girl's skirt and pull her panties off. I don't care if you're the quirkiest, cutest little anime girl in the fucking world. This is a criminal offense, and she should go to jail because she is going to do this again. This is a pattern of behavior, people. This is the streets are not safe with this girl walking around. She will reach up and pull your panties down and do who knows what else. This girl is a sex offender and should go down. She should go down. This is a crime.
I just don't get that. Like again, I could see this happening if they were alone in the room and she's just so possessed by her artistic need that she does this. I'd be like, well, that's wrong, but I get it. But the fact that she did it with her brother there just pushes it for me, where I'm like, she wouldn't do that. Like,
she did seem pretty entranced when she saw the girl, I guess. Like, she had, like, the sparkles and was like, oh, I'm going to draw. So, like, maybe she was just not paying attention to that.
Considering how mad she gets if her brother even, like, suggests that he's seen another girl.
Oh, yeah. Sagiri being inconsistent in character. Stop the fucking presses, dude. We got to take this story to Anime News Network. By the way, I've realized now, I mean, it's been clear, but I should have realized... I'm just going to clarify now. This girl only exists. Megumin's entire character, like all this stuff about being a fake bitch and, saying slutty shit just to look cool and, just having this weird dedication to making friends with literally everyone, including the scum of society, like Sagiri. It all exists in order for, like, to make an excuse for, things like this to happen. This is her entire purpose of this character. So there's nothing else here beyond, being an object.
She eventually gets what she wanted.
Yep, she does.
So somehow Sagiri taking off her panties, somehow Sagiri sexually assaulting her.
Yeah.
Causes them to break down the barrier between them and become instant friends.
Well, okay. I mean, if you frame it like in terms of like social power here, right? Like, Sagiri has 100% control over who she decides to allow, herself to be friends with. And this girl needs that friendship. She'll do whatever it fucking takes. And so by being sexually assaulted by Sagiri, that has now given her political leverage over Sagiri so that she can now blackmail her. I mean, she doesn't say it that way, but in the real life, that's what would happen. She is now blackmailing her effectively to force her to give her friendship, or she will call the police and
the
she'll,
thing is,
go down.
Like, it's kind of presented that way, right? Like, I mean, not so much blackmail, like, on a legal level.
Like, she's apologizing, though. She's saying, like, oh, I'm sorry, we'll be friends, or whatever.
She tells, like, she apologized. Sagiri's like, I'll forgive you, so are we friends now? And she's like, no. And then she's like, come on, I asked it, and whatever. Like she's begging her on the basis of, hey, you did something to me that was offensive, so now give me what I want to be my friend. Yeah. So it's presented like an exchange, but then once they are now friends, it's presented as a big sentimental moment.
I know that's what really got me. Like the music came on, and it was like, oh, we did it. This is like the emotional moment of the episode. Someone got sexually assaulted. Yeah.
That was definitely the most annoyed I was in this episode. Most of this was white noise, but that scene, I was just like, this is not like, they're not just friends now. Like, they have not shared a bond. They've just decided, like, Eromanga feels guilty and therefore has decided to admit to being friends. And now we're supposed to believe they're all close or something.
And from now on, it will be taken as granted that they are best friends. It's done. Yeah. We're past that in the conversation. So, yeah, totally makes sense to me.
I'm just glad that arc is kind of over now.
Yeah, it is. Thank God.
We've got Sagiri was looking for a woman to draw. Done. She was.
I think she's still going to be beyond to the big titted thing. I think she's still looking for that.
Could be.
Yeah, we'll see.
But she's gotten to draw somebody, and Megumin's gotten to make Sagiri her friend. So those plot threads are, for the time being, wrapped up. We're moving on. Yep. We got a new story. A bigger story. So how did you feel about the fact that we learn in this episode, this is the first time we have like real stakes in the narrative. Right. We learn that if the main character cannot consistently sell books, his aunt, who he has an agreement with that they can continue their lifestyle as long as he can do this, she will not allow them to continue if he's not selling books enough.
Right.
Now, this raises for me a lot of questions. First of all, what would the aunt have done had he not been able to? And would it not have possibly been better for Sagiri, whatever she was going to do?
Almost. She has been in her room for a year. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
What's the aunt doing right now? Why is she allowing this to continue?
So the main character guy, who we all know why he wants this to continue.
Yes.
He just wants to take care of his sister because he wants to fuck her.
Right.
So the best option for Sagiri might have been to go live with this aunt or wherever they were going to put her, you know?
Yep.
Probably better than alone being taken care of by her high schooler big brother.
Who wants to fuck her? Yes.
Who wants to fuck her. And second question, like, is this conceit based on the idea that he's paying for this house?
That's what I was wondering.
Way
I don't know.
He's paying for this house with the amount that he's apparently making with his flailing career as a light novel author. Like, how could they have... This place is huge, middle class.
There's no way he can pay for this whole thing. I wouldn't believe it.
So yeah, those questions come up, and then it's like, okay, well, at least now we know that there's a reason he has to become a light novel author successfully.
Now
otherwise he can't fuck his sister. And,
right. Yes. Now we've got stakes. There's skin in the game, baby. Okay.
Yeah. And we've set up a competition whereby he has to actually, I wasn't even really clear on the parameters of the competition.
I paid attention. They did not make it clear. There is a contest where 5 light novel people enter and one wins somehow.
It seemed like she was saying to him that you have to, like, he says he wants to do it, and she's like, ordinarily you'd have to be new, but we're making an exception for you.
Right.
And then Masamune, this other lady who is the best-selling author in the company, who is, holding everyone else down because she sells so much that I don't know why. I didn't understand the logic of why he had to get pushed back for her. Like, why he couldn't get published while she was.
I guess they only had one slot. Like, it was an issue of slots that were available or something.
What does that mean in publishing terms?
Like, I mean,
they're not publishing in a magazine. What are the slots?
That's maybe they've only got so many factories making books or something, and so they only have space to, like,
maybe it's like they don't want to release his in competition with hers because they're too similar.
That's possible.
They didn't clarify that very well. But so even though they've just said that they were making an exception for him for this contest that would ordinarily be for newbies, they then immediately have the best-selling author sign up, who is obviously going to win. Why is she involved?
To be fair, she forced herself into the situation. She was not invited, so I don't even know if she'd be allowed.
Why does she want this? What does she?
That's unclear.
What does she stand to gain from this?
I have no idea. It seemed like, though, she was doing it in response to him, to finding out who he was. Right. That's when she's like, I have to defeat you for some reason.
She's already defeated him. He's a fucking nobody, and she's famous.
Oh, okay, like, there's things going on behind the scenes with her character, and I'm fucking riveted to find out. I can't wait. There's something we just don't know yet.
Because the way it's portrayed here, like, she's kind of got like this weird standoffish attitude, like she's shy or something. I don't know, but she's showing up to turn in her new book, and main character guy is like, "I need you to publish me this year," and she's like, no, fuck you. I don't know. I don't know what she wants.
Yeah, she's already won. She already has the slot. So
she's already getting published. Like, I don't know. Was he trying to say that he wanted them to publish him instead of her?
Well,
because I didn't get that.
I don't think so. Okay, here's the thing with our main character, right? Okay, so there's been this theme throughout, like, the entire series that he is, like, undervalued publicly. That, like his little sister is clearly the one who, like, was inspired by him when she was little, and, like, they're gonna reveal that in the last episode, so get ready. I'm telling you right now, it's what's gonna happen. And so, like, she saw something special in him and then decided to work with him, and they became, writing buddies or whatever. This girl, I think, is going to have something similar, and it's going to be like, she saw something like, they talked about how similar their work is. There's going to be something where she's going to be like, you write like me, but I, as the authority, know that you are better than me. Like, you're just too deep for the people out there to get, and that offends me because I'm aware, it's gonna be something like that. His secret superpowers they're gonna be revealed, that he's actually good even though no one gives a shit. It's gonna be something like that. It's gotta be. I there's no other reason why she would give a shit about him at all.
I was honestly just completely lost on that whole
Yeah.
aspect of it. Like I get it. We have a villain, we have a tournament. That's what I got. That's the important part.
Yeah, that's right.
I understood. We're moving. We have a plot now. He has to beat this better author somehow in some capacity. I don't know what.
In a very non-specific
way.
way.
Each other,
Yeah.
or like, is it about the quality of the work, or is it about the sales, or what is the determining factor in this competition? I assume we'll have an exposition dump for most of the next episode. To
I hope so.
explain it to
I hope
us.
so.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything else to talk about.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you have
it.
any other
I
shit?
don't know. Let's scroll to the bottom here. No, I'm just. Oh, I wanted to point out, by the way, that in that panties scene where she steals the panties, not only does she pull down her panties, we didn't say this, but I wrote down specifically to mention this. She is then in the next scene holding the panties on the other side of the room from the girl who's collapsed in a heap, crying in the corner. She didn't just pull them down, she took them. Imagine the steps she had to take to get those panties off her leg. She had to like push her down, pull them out from underneath her legs.
yeah,
This was
now
a
that you
violent
mention it.
action that was taken against this girl. That's fucked up. And she has then pocketed them, and at the end of the scene, the girl's like, by the way, can I have my panties back now? After she's totally forgiven this. So the message I'm getting here is, Nate, you like anime. Anime is teaching you, go out, find some girls, wait till they're vulnerable, pull down their panties, push them over, and then keep them and walk away. And they'll be your best friend, and they will become your best friend. That's what you need to do. Thank you, anime. Thank you, Eromanga. You taught me the way. Now I know.
Oh, man.
Fuck this shit, man. I mean, I know I'm taking it a little bit too seriously. I know it's an epic goof. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I just, like, it's not funny, on the other hand, so, yeah, fuck this shit. This is garbage. Oh, you know what else was retarded? Remember when Elf... Okay, it wasn't actually retarded. When Elf and the dude are in their scene together, like you said, I was legitimately starting to like Elf a little bit more until she blurts out that big, "That's why I love you." No, I didn't mean to say I love you. Fuck off, guys.
Because that scene, that's, like I said, you can feel how this is supposed to work.
That is the moment where we're supposed to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
This girl could win. This is my girl right here. Yeah,
it was aggravating because it's like I could see the strings and I'm like, wait a minute. If you had just done it like this, it would have worked.
Yeah.
Like it's so close to being and like, I mean, we already saw it with Kuroneko. Everyone loved her in that show.
Every
like
single person.
If they just it's like he forgot how, like somehow he fucked up whatever formula he came up with in the other show.
The dude loves to cuck best girls, I mean, I know that happens a lot, but yeah, he's into it.
I don't know if it's just because Elf is so disconnected from the other characters at this point or what it is, but it definitely made more sense. And I mean, maybe I'm remembering Imo better than it was.
Yeah.
Maybe that show was more retarded than I remember, but I just feel like this whole scenario, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking just with the slightest tweak, this could all make sense and you can see where it's supposed to be going. But then she starts acting like a total fucking brat and you're just like, what are you doing? You have failed at creating this obvious best girl.
Also, and I really need to say it, I just think Elf is very unattractive looking. There's something weird with her hair
a good design.
that is very odd to me. And like the ears, I don't know, they're fine.
She just looks really generic.
Yeah, she's
and I don't
super
like
generic.
her color palette.
I actually think she looked her best yet this episode with the red dress, but that still was very generic and just not particularly appealing. All right, and that's it. That's it. I am like sort of looking forward in a sense where, I just have my morbid curiosity about where this tournament arc is going to go. What are going to be the ramifications of this? That's enough to keep me going for at least one more episode just to find out like, okay, what is this?
I can't stop before I've seen the fucking Muramasa girl's panties.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Kimonos are lewd. Kimonos are just like easy access, You just have to, all you have to do is trip in a kimono and you're fully naked instantly. It's just a recipe for disaster. So she's asking for it. What I'm trying to say is I am slut-shaming this girl. She is asking for it. And here we go. Next episode. Let's see it happen. I want skin on the table.
All right. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.